Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
After a while, Dreamstar Knight, we did not wait for the adjutant's reply. Some impatiently stood up, walked to the monitoring area, and saw the adjutant sweating and pointing and saying something. "What's going on?" Dreamstar Nightlight asked unhappily. When the adjutant saw him, he hurriedly saluted. "Colonel, we have tried many methods, but unless it is a violation of the rules, we cannot achieve the desired goal." Dreamstar Yahweh thought about it, waved his hand, and no longer embarrassed these people. It is not impossible for the Imperial Federation to break through the rules of the interstellar world. After all, it still has some of the permissions, and the problem is that the price to pay is too great to be worth it. Dreamstar Knight, we wants to see the battlefield, and there is no problem in directly looking for Meng Ze to transfer, but he just gave Meng Ze eye medicine behind his back, and he was proud of Dreamstar Knight Glow's heart, and turned his head to go to the scene to transfer, which really tested his face. But now there is no way, and it is better to find Meng Ze than the consequences of breaking the rules. Anyway, Meng Ze doesn't know. Dreamstar Nightlight repeatedly made a mental construction for himself, exhaled a breath, and then sent a communication to Meng Ze. If it is to let the adjutant of the Dreamstar Night Glow find that his always cold superiors actually have such a side, I am afraid that he does not think that he has hallucinations. Good guy. Connecting the communication, Meng Ze smiled. Dreamstar Night, we ignored him and asked directly, "Where did you get the space interferometer?" "Ruins are from the ruins, huh? Big guy. How do you know this?" The space interferometer himself has only used it for the first time, and the Dreamstar Knight we boss actually knows it, which is really powerful. Dreamstar Yawejan's face was slightly red, did not answer, and directly said, "I want to see your battlefield." 35. Didn't ask. Before Meng Ze could finish speaking, Dreamstar Nightlight hung up the communication. 35. The big guys are so busy? Meng Ze pouted, always feeling that today's Dreamstar Night Glow was weird. However, he didn't think much of it, and reminded the system in his mind to carry out mind camouflage. After the system determined that it was safe, Meng Ze transferred the view of his command center to Dreamstar Night Glow. Void Cloud Platform. Dreamstar Nightlight walked directly into a cylindrical device, a ray of light swept through, and the whole person disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in his command center. The battlefield information transferred by Meng Ze is displayed in a three-dimensional virtual projection in the command center of Dreamstar Night Glow. This display not only clearly reproduces the ready-made situation on the Meng Ze side, but also restores the colors and most of the details. If Meng Ze sees this kind of scene and understands how the commander of a higher civilization directs a real war, combined with the situation of Blue Star, I am afraid that he can deeply understand the meaning of the four words, war tour, and play. Perhaps at that time, his understanding of the interstellar world will be deeper. Dreamstar Night Glow's finger lightly swiped over the three-dimensional image, and the entire image began to rotate, allowing him to clearly see the distribution of the Zerg's forces in various positions on the void floating island. At this time, on the battlefield, there were very few Zerg flying dragons, and the remaining points had become frightened birds, hiding far away in the field of vision of the host who had just arrived. If it weren't for the fact that there were still many Wyvern wreckage in the void, and the missile launch pad on the side of the floating island still burning with fire, Phantom Star Night, we would have thought that the two sides had no formal contact. What just happened? Dreamstar Nightlight frowned. The Empire's control of the interstellar world is too unreliable. But no way. One level of civilization is one step. The higher it is, the greater the gap between each level of civilization. If the 7th level civilization Imperial Federation can still touch the border, the 8th level civilization can only hear its voice. Everyone knows that there is an 8th level civilization, but where is the 8th level civilization? What are the core competencies of the 8th level civilization? What is so powerful about the 8th level civilization? These almost unknown, the only thing that is known is that the 8th level civilization is related to information, which is called information civilization. And the strange thing of the interstellar world contains a dimensional energy void creation that is said to be an 8th level civilization technology, and the result is that the Imperial Federation is confused and has not been clear for hundreds of years. This is a huge gap in science and technology, and Dreamstar Nightlight can only sigh in his heart. Keep staring at the battlefield over there at Meng Ze. The Zerg race Dreamstar Nightlight knows a lot about it, and even personally fought on the border between the Imperial Federation and the Zerg. The Zerg with biotechnology as the core has always been thick-skinned and perverted in recovery. Zergs of the 2nd level and below are not yet obvious, and after the 3rd level, the further back, the more obvious it is. When it comes to the 6th level civilization, the main battle class of the Zerg is even directly pierced by the main artillery of the human ship. As long as it escapes, it can still fully recover within a few days. Meng Ze this side. After the arrival of the main force of the Zerg, perhaps because of the temptation of the flying dragon just now, Meng Ze's defensive loopholes were not found, so he directly chose to storm from the side. With the Devourer and Guardian of the main air class as the core, plus the Queen, the lineup is luxurious. Zerg Guardian, level 3, 10,000 health points, 200 attack power, 10 defense power, Zerg Strategic Ground Attack class with ultra-long-range air-to-ground strike capabilities. Zerg Devourer, level 3, 15,000 health points, 100 attack power, 20 defense power, Zerg Strategic Air class, spray slime to attack, can reduce enemy attack speed and defense. If the attributes of the Zerg Eater and Guardian only gave Meng Ze a headache, then when the attack came, Meng Ze felt pain. Oh, what kind of stuff did this Guardian grow up? This range is too far. Meng Ze was mad. Typical is that I can hit you, you can't hit me. The experience of the Ghost Fighter fighting the dragon, Meng Ze experienced it in reverse at this time. Meng Ze used a science spacecraft to strike at the Wager fighter. Hundreds of thousands of Wagret fighters were 300 to 400 meters apart from each other, forming a large net of cascading layers towards the Zerg Air Force. The clearance of the Wager fighter is the result of Meng Ze's careful calculation, which can not only take advantage of the Ogre fighter's coverage attack, but also achieve the maximum coverage area possible. Behind, there are up to 50,000 scientific spacecraft. Dreamstar Nightglow, looking at Meng Ze's, Wang Zhao's, Wager fighter array, knew that Meng Ze would suffer a big loss. Meng Ze only considered his own strengths, trying to maximize the coverage attack effectiveness of the Wager fighter. However, he obviously did not know much about the characteristics of the Zerg Devourer, and perhaps because Meng Ze had faced low Zerg blood before, he did not take the persistence of the attack into account when considering the lineup. If the evaluation of the level of the Wagret fighter controlled by Meng Ze is like that, seeing Meng Ze's Science Spaceship Brigade, the corner of the eyes of the Dreamstar Nightglow can't help but jump. Special, rich is willful. Not to mention the 2nd level, Dreamstar Nightglow has never been so arrogant in using a science spacecraft to level 6. Although there are reasons why the higher the level of the science ship, the more expensive it is. But like Meng Ze, throwing out 50,000 scientific spaceships in one wave, even if it is only a 2nd level mysterious level, it is 1 billion. Turning to look at the more than 10 aqua blue mines in the Meng Ze mining area. Big dog. The truth is as expected from the Dream Starry Nightglow. The Devourer's slime attack directly caused a rapid difference in the speed of the Wager fighter, and the entire lineup was full of holes. Covered attacks have a large number of gaps, giving the Zerg troops room to dodge. This was supposed to be a good thing for the Zerg, but Meng Ze's eyes suddenly lit up. Opportunity. A large number of scientific spacecraft quickly radiated those attack blind spots of the Wager fighters. You know, the radiation of the Terran science spacecraft can cause damage to the surrounding creatures. In this way, the Zerg troops gathered together on a large scale in disguise have become the best targets for scientific spacecraft. Perhaps the Zerg had not encountered such a situation either, and there was no feedback for several minutes. With one guardian and devourer in the green radiation light, it gradually turned into pus and blood. The Zerg front legion was quickly emptied, losing nearly 100,000 guardians and devourers. This amount of damage is much greater than the Zerg attacking against the Wager fighter. The first wave of offensive suffered a serious setback, and the Zerg began to shrink their lineup. Meng Ze's group of Wager fighters took the opportunity to regroup and cooperate with the science ship to advance, but was stopped by the Zerg Queen. 673. However, the Zerg Queen group is not without a price, and thousands of them have been irradiated by scientific spaceships. If the development of the war in the early stage was accurately predicted by himself, highlighting his wisdom, then the later development made Dream Star Knight we feel that he was repeatedly snapped, left and right in the face. However, unlike those who have others on the cloud platform, the command center only has Dream Star Knight glow, although it is not too much of a problem if it is slightly embarrassing. Was he premeditated or immediate? This is a question that Dream Star Knight glow can't figure out. If Meng Ze had premeditated, then Meng Ze's tactical literacy was too demonic. But even the impromptu decision shows that Meng Ze's battlefield instincts are at least very prominent. As for whether to continue to raise Meng Ze's attention level, Dream Star Knight glow has to continue to observe. And the investigation of the commander is not only the ability to command, but also the examination of human nature. This also requires more contact with Meng Ze in the future. Big guy, do you know how many resources the Zerg mysterious guardians and devourers have created? Just as Dream Star Nightlight was making up his mind to continue to keep an eye on the battlefield, Meng Ze suddenly sent a message. No, Dream Star Nightlight replied. And then? 35. No, I won't cheat for you. When he said this, Dream Star Knight was a little weak. He simply looked at Meng Ze too relaxed. He didn't want to say it. Meng Ze had no choice, so he turned to ask the dog-head bun. Mystical Zerg, I've seen it. The dog-headed bun nodded and said solemnly. That bun boss, in your experience, how many resources do level 3 Mystic Guardians and Devourers need? Asked 35 Meng Ze expectantly. I don't know. How could you not know? Didn't you say you had seen it? Meng Ze looks like you're playing me. I saw it the time I was sent out. The two big guys are not reliable, and the other Meng Ze is even less hopeful. Meng Ze wanted to understand this, mainly to understand how much it would take to gain the upper hand. After all, he had also seen the minds of the Zerg. If you can't ask, you can only do your best. On the Zerg side, the first attack was frustrated and soon regrouped again. This time, the Zerg did not play any tricks with Meng Ze at all, but with the advantage of troops, they pressed up in a dignified manner. Originally, because the strength of the Zerg was outside Meng Ze's reconnaissance vision, Dream Star Nightlight had not found anything abnormal. But this time the main force of the Zerg was pressed by the whole army, and he suddenly found that this number seemed to be too outrageous. I wanted to send a communication to ask the adjutant, but after a slight hesitation, I put it down. He can know the general idea of things even if he thinks about it. Now in this situation, Dream Star Knight is just looking at how Meng Ze handles it. In interstellar wars, conspiracies are always trivial, and the general trend is the key to contention. Although Meng Ze's war here can only be regarded as a local dispute, how to gradually reduce the advantages of the Zerg and play to their strengths can also show something. Command Center. Meng Ze's expression was grim. The Zerg pressed on it so much, it was obvious that he couldn't carry it. Like the devourer in the shape of a black evil maggot in the game, Legend, that was popular all over the country, he guarded the upper level and waited for it. The Guardians on the lower level, relying on ultra-long-range attack range, continued to tear down Meng Ze's air defense buildings on the edge. Meng Ze retreated the line for about 100 kilometers, giving up fighting it in the Zerg attack advantage zone. The engineers began to frantically build supply stations, fortresses, missile launch pads, and other fortifications on the newly demarcated defense line. Meng Ze didn't block all the defenses. The supply stations are arranged in a staggered manner as an important building to block the direct impact of the Zerg. The fortress is to provide protection for biochemical soldiers. Missile launch pads are of the type that attracts firepower or have dates without dates. On the other hand, Meng Ze suddenly felt that the number of biochemical arsenals up to 30 was insufficient and immediately arranged for the addition of 70. When the land forces of the Zerg land, every ounce of firepower will be precious. Meng Ze doesn't think that the Zerg only has the Air Force. Look at the rugby's spherical building behind it, which looks like a 10-kilometer size Yundumother nest. You know how many bugs are contained inside. The purple devourer slime, like moldy raindrops and like a liquid comet of strange colors, flew over from the Zerg Air Corps in pieces. As long as it falls on the body of the Wager fighter, the missile launch port, power pack, and even the shield will be glued, the speed will slow down, and the missile will often fail to launch, which is very disgusting. In the sky, the Wagret fighters are constantly bursting with fire, and some will fall to floating islands, but those that are far away are not enough gravity to gradually float into the unknown void. Science spacecraft put out fires everywhere, and in places where the defense line was in danger, timely sent a defense matrix to friendly forces and brought some green to the bugs. Accidentally caught by the Queen's trapping skills, he instantly becomes a lamb to be slaughtered. But on this battlefield, no one or bug fears death. Although there are tens of thousands of missiles blowing up in the swarm every minute, although there is flesh and blood flying everywhere, the number of insect swarm has not decreased at all. Meng Ze turned a blind eye to his losses. Continue to fight for time to build a new line of defense. Not only a defensive line 100 kilometers from the edge, but every 100 kilometers or so, Meng Ze built a defensive line. With the edge completely under the protection of the Zerg Air Force, the huge cloud-crossing Mother Peak finally flew over slowly to make contact with the void floating island. Meng Ze felt as if the floating islands of the void were shaking several times. Then the tip of the rugby seemed to be torn open with a big mouth, and the swarm was like a flood that opened the gates, swarming out. The tank-heavy artillery that had been prepared long ago roared in unison, with a screeching sound like the most brilliant meteor shower shells, densely falling from the sky. That's not one or two, this position is just the first echelon, and Meng Ze has 100,000 tanks. Even under the cover of the scorpion fog, even if the vitality of these third-level mysterious Zergs is as high as tens of thousands, but in this short distance, the number of shells affected by each Zerg is not one or two, but hundreds or hundreds. No bug can withstand such a blow. These bugs, who had soon set foot on the floating island, were quickly swept away under the fire of the tanks. But the swarm of insects seems to be endless, a batch of deaths, and a batch of them rushed out. The unwilling scorpions wantonly wielded the skills of the dark insect swarm, using the fog to cover the sky over the edge of the floating island for tens of kilometers, layer after layer. But for such a tank in the number of 100,000, this is not very useful use. The tank-heavy artillery will fire at will, and it does not need to be accurate as long as it is guaranteed that the shells can fall into the fog. The head of the Zerg quickly discovered this problem, and the Zerg guardians in the sky began to turn their direction, preparing to clear the biggest threat on the ground. But Meng Ze looked at the layers of yellow mist on the ground, the corners of his mouth slightly upturned. This is the opportunity he needs. Scorpion's dark swarm skill is indistinguishable from enemy to me. Whether it is attacking each other in the fog or attacking the target in the fog from the outside, no matter which side it is, as long as it is a long-range attack, it will be inaccurate. This is also the reason why scorpions often pair with melee thunder beasts and berserk jumping insects. However, on the contrary, the forces in the fog, any side, can achieve accurate shooting through the external auxiliary vision. So, this skill is sometimes a double-edged sword. And Meng Ze is now taking advantage of that. The Biolancer troops quickly injected doping and rushed into the fog at top speed against the attacks of the Zerg Guardians. The robot is slightly slower and is close behind. Turn on Battlefield Assist Lock mode. Gauss rifle bullets, denser than raindrops, flew out of the fog, mixed with tens of thousands of small anti-aircraft missiles fired by robots, hitting the Zerg of Guardians, Devourers, and Queens. These attacks may not be as powerful as the missiles of the Wager fighter, but there are too many of them. Angi, was the scream of death of the Guardian. Roar, roar, was the last neighing of the Devourer. The Zerg found out that something was wrong and immediately turned around and retreated. But Meng Ze's air force immediately pressed up, and Wagrat fighters, ghost fighters, and science ships all began to follow in pursuit. How deep the Zerg chased before, how difficult it is to escape now. The Zerg's Yunda mother nest has begun to retract its troops. Seeing this, Meng Ze quickly mobilized transport planes and directly airdropped tens of thousands of tanks to the position of several kilometers of Yundu's mother nest. With the size of Yundu's mother nest, this is almost a face-to-face attack. Compared with the air arms, although the tank unit is very slow and cannot be against the air under normal circumstances, it is powerful. After the technology bonus, more than 300 attack points bombarded the shell of the Yunda mother nest. The surface of it is lifted layer by layer, revealing the Zerg who were blown up and blown into pieces of limbs. However, despite the hard efforts of Meng Ze's tanks, the Yunda mother nest is too large. After hundreds of thousands of shells, it only cut off a few layers at the front and top, and it was still able to fly and escape. The fierce battle in the sky continues, but there are no more Zerg left on the ground. Meng Ze's airfield is constantly producing Wagrat fighters and science ships. Now that the main forces of the Zerg have gone to most of them, although it cannot be said that they have completely failed, the troops in the sky can no longer form an overwhelming advantage over Meng Ze. What Meng Ze needs to do now is to compare with the Zerg with the mob, then to the consumption. As long as the Zerg's advantage does not rise, it can eventually drag it to death. To achieve this strategic goal, Meng Ze again laid down 100 airfields. Dreamstar Nightglow, who was watching the battle in his command center, saw the scene, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. I really want to pull this guy out and beat him up. Leaning back, Dreamstarry Knight closed his eyes and quietly reviewed the battle just now. 0. Ask for flowers. Throughout the process, Meng Ze performed remarkably. The scene that uses the skills of the scorpion dark insect swarm in turn is even amazing. It was hard for him to imagine how the Meng family had cultivated such a genius into waste in the first place. The Meng family is in the Imperial Federation, and it cannot be regarded as a top family, and even if Meng Shaowen, a 3-star general, is excluded, it is not even second-rate. Meng Ze's brother, Dreamstar Nightglow, also checked it by the way. To be honest, you can't say bad, you can only say that it is a middle-aged posture. But at this level, the Imperial Federation grabbed a large area, and there was no hope of becoming a commander at all. As for Meng Ze, it is not enough to say that the level is really top. He seems to be on a very shaky foundation. Fantasy Star Knight Hui believes that this is due to his lack of family cultivation relationship before. However, Meng Ze's battlefield intuition is very strong, and his ability to make decisions on the spot is also quite outstanding. And this is the second quality necessary to be a good commander. In the opinion of Dreamstar Nightglow, even if Meng Ze does not have a big picture enough, he can become an excellent tactical commander in the future. The back part of Dreamstar Nightglow felt no need to watch it anymore. As long as Meng Ze can carry out his tactics to the end and force the Zerg and him to wear out, it will definitely be the Zerg who will lose in the end. Although the Zerg mobs are fast and Meng Ze's troops are worse than the Zerg's money is far less than Meng Ze. As long as Meng Ze doesn't break down, he can keep fighting more and less until he drags the Zerg down. In fact, as expected by Dreamstar, Meng Ze won in the end. But the process is quite difficult, especially when the Zerg retreat to their floating island. Under the cover of the overwhelming dark insect skills, Meng Ze can't hit it at all, and can only grind it little by little. In the end, it was Meng Ze who made a weak appearance, shook a shot, and tricked the main force of the Zerg out again, before finally gaining a foothold on the island and laying the final victory. The battle lasted more than a day, and Meng Ze was so hungry several times that he pressed his chest against his back. At Meng Ze's repeated insistence, he finally qualified to eat and drink Lazarus in the interstellar world. But to go back to the real world to sleep, the system gives the reason that the anchor needs time to stabilize. Meng Ze didn't understand, but he could hear the serious tone of the system's reply. It seems that not doing so will lead to some kind of serious consequences with. After fighting the battle of life and death, Meng Ze just hastily arranged his defenses and couldn't wait to withdraw from the interstellar world to replenish sleep. Commanding troops for a long time with mental tension is a great drain on mental and physical strength. Even with the weakening of Transworld, Meng Ze feels a little overwhelmed. He also didn't want players of the Imperial Federation to be able to use restorative potions or food at any time. After waking up, it was night. Meng Ze and Luo Wei secretly tired for a while before entering the interstellar world. Unsurprisingly, the command center has a lot of informational tips. Meng Ze looked at a few and found that most of them were concerned about his war situation. So he ignored it and began to let the wisdom brain count the battle damage. A few minutes later, the data came out. According to the results of statistics, the entire battle was fought and the casualties were extremely heavy. The biggest loss was the Wagret fighter, 673, which lost more than 480,000 in the whole battle. The second is the science spacecraft. Meng Ze remembers vividly that when he hit the main island of the Zerg, in the face of the Scorpion's dark swarm skill, the science spacecraft became the main force of the war and naturally became a big loss. More than 220,000 scientific spaceships were lost in this battle. After that, there are more than 180,000 biochemical lancers and more than 60,000 ghost fighters. The lowest losses were actually tanks and robots, more than 40,000 of each. The loss of arms, plus building losses, temporary construction, etc., the total consumption exceeds 10 billion. After all, Meng Ze sighed that war is really about fighting money. If it weren't for the fact that he was rich enough, this time would definitely be cool. Knowing the result, Meng Ze first connected to the dog-headed bun's communication. "Brother, if you don't come back, I thought you were cleared out, just fighting a life and death battle, and you got the same thing." 39 Dog-Ed Bun said with a disdainful look. Meng Ze's words shocked Meng Ze. Could it be that the players who advanced to the previous level were so strong? Could it be that he was recognized as the strongest in the new district 2 days ago is fake? Big guy, do you have any misunderstanding about life and death battles? Such a high difficulty, you actually said the same as playing I was almost raided by the Zerg before. With this doubt, Meng Ze asked. Exaggerated, right? Show me the battlefield video. The dog-headed bun originally thought that Meng Ze was fooling him, but seeing Meng Ze's serious look didn't seem like a lie. Meng Ze sent the video of the battlefield here, and the dog-headed bun was busy watching the video, so he hung up the communication first. Then it was immediately sent to -90 degrees. Meng Ze, you're done fighting a life and death battle, aren't you? How does it feel? 90 degrees below zero asked directly. It's just fatal. I didn't expect the difficulty of life and death battles to be so high. I fought for more than a day, consumed more than 10 billion, exhausted me. 99 Meng Ze complained with a friend. Meng Ze's words confused -90 degrees. How is this different from the life and death battle he has heard of? If it is really like Meng Ze said, then how many people can fight this life and death battle? Give me a copy of the battlefield video. I'll learn some experience and see. 90 degrees below zero decided to take a look first. Meng Ze also sent him a video. Then Meng Juan sighed, because Meng Ze has a space interferometer. There is no scene of war leaking out at all, and he has long been itchy. When the war was still over, he was inquiring about it, and Meng Ze also sent him a copy of the past. Meng Ze just sent a video to Meng Juan, and the dog-headed bun sent 3 exclamation points in a row. Then came the pop-up communication. As soon as it was connected, the dog-headed bun shouted loudly, brother, are you going to participate in the world battlefield?" Big guy, I'm a life and death battle. I didn't make a mistake. Meng Ze confirmed. The dog-headed bun slapped the door of his head and sighed. It is because I believe that you are fighting a life and death battle. I feel incredible. The strength of your Zerg opponent is almost the top of the third level. You actually rely on the second level arms to slaughter it. Incredible, incredible. But I can't figure it out. Why is your life and death battle so difficult? The dog-headed bun's words made Meng Ze suddenly remember the application before the life and death battle began. Meng Ze and the dog-headed bun mentioned, and the dog-headed bun said that he had not heard of such a thing, and I don't know if it was related to Meng Ze's strength when he was promoted to the chaotic battlefield. At this moment, a message came from -90 degrees. Meng Ze, is there a problem with me looking for someone else to take a look at the video? Your difficulty is too perverted. If I encounter it, I will definitely not be able to beat it. Meng Ze doesn't care about this. He is about to be promoted to the third level, and then his strength will change drastically. If anyone has seen it and dealt with him according to the strength at this time, he really doesn't know how to die. So, I readily agreed. On the dog-headed bun side, he chatted with Meng Ze about the difficulty of the life and death battle before hanging up the communication. Some distressed shook their heads. The dog-head bun has a feeling of right and wrong. Unexpectedly, in just 1 or 2 months, my little brother was so strong. I am afraid that I will soon be unable to cover him as a big guy. On Manhwa's side, after Meng Ze replied, half of his heart dropped. From the beginning, he knew that Meng Ze's life and death battle was a bit difficult. Just the size of those Zerg corps he saw was more than 10 times more than what he had ever experienced. And the eyes of those Zergs don't look like ordinary soldiers can have. When Meng Ze went to war, he reluctantly used a dozen long-range probes, but he could not see any battlefield scenes. It is even more certain that Meng Ze is not ordinary, who just arrived at the chaotic battlefield and installed himself with a space interferometer. However, due to the long duration of the war, Meng Ze couldn't help it in the middle of the way and sent a few messages and previously received a reply from Meng Ze saying that he was fighting. Later, there was not even a reply. During that time, Meng Ze's heart was cold. You know, during the life and death battle, the Zerg naturally aimed at the target 3.5 players at the beginning. But once the player has not fought a life and death battle, the Zerg naturally loses its goal. At this time, the Zerg is equivalent to becoming a wild monster, and all the players around him are within his attack range. According to the scale of Meng Ze's life and death battle, once he can't carry it, the surrounding players are basically dead. The void-floating island of the chaotic battlefield can be relocated, but it requires a large fee and takes effect 7 days after the application. So under normal circumstances, no one would do that. At this time, the word relocation naturally appeared in Meng Ze's mind, but it was simply too late now. So Meng Ze can only pray in his heart that Meng Ze's sudden disappearance is due to the urgent situation of the battle, not because it has been wiped out by the Zerg. Fortunately, although Meng Ze has not been heard, the Zerg has not spread either. After Meng Ze disappeared for more than 100 hours, Meng Ze finally waited for Meng Ze's reply, and he was almost a little tearful. Open the war video sent by Meng Ze, and the footage begins with the scene where the Zerg vanguard begins to harass. Meng Ze let G-Brain turn on the battle report analysis function, and the first wave of flying dragon troops as high as 50,000 made Meng Ze feel cold sweat. Fast as the wind, advance and retreat in a measured manner, go when you get wet, and come again when the opportunity comes. These 16 words are the best description of the Flying Dragon harassment war. Meng Ze has no idea how to deal with this situation to survive this calamity. Shouldn't Meng Ze be beaten half by this wave? It's certainly impossible to lose. After all, the videos were sent by Meng Ze. Meng Ze was just wondering if the Meng Ze boss would suffer heavy losses in the first wave, so it took a long time to slow down. But then Meng Ze sees the vulnerability of the hosts disjointed and used the ghost fighter to stealthily slaughter the dragon. In fact, the distance between the host and the dragon is not too far, and there are not many time windows. But such a small vulnerability was caught by Meng Ze 05. Sure enough, he is worthy of being the most powerful man in the new district, and the timing is really good. Meng Jun sighed. Then came the attack of the Zerg air forces, and Meng Ze's unexpected loophole in the lineup of Wager fighters became a magic stroke in Meng Jun's eyes, and his admiration for Meng Ze's foresight was added to another level. The big guy is the big guy. How can ordinary people think of using this seemingly perfect lineup to create flaws? 35. Originally, Meng Jun thought that after this wave, even if the overall situation had been decided. But when the real main force of the Zerg came on the field, Meng Jun knew that the Zerg troops he detected were far from all. In the direction where the void floating island Zerg came, a whole plain was densely packed with Zerg troops, and just looking at it made people feel that their scalps were numb. Meng Ze followed by countless Wager fighters above, shining silver in the light of the shield. With so many air legions, Meng Jun was crazy with envy and hated to replace him. But with the ensuing big battle, Meng Jun was at a loss, and when he thought about changing positions, he was even more nervous and sweaty, and the pressure was so great that he was almost unstable on his feet. Just when Meng Jun couldn't figure out how to solve the current predicament, a communication called him back from the bureau. The communication came with a mouthful of a fierce man. Meng Jun eased his breath, wiped the cold sweat on his forehead, and sorted out his clothes again, only to feel that he had regained his calm before picking up the communication. Meng Jun, did you see it? Did you see it? Meng Ze is the biggest boss, the strongest life and death battle in history. 35. A fierce man said loudly with emotion. What is the strongest life and death battle in history? Meng Jun hadn't reacted yet. Watch the Warzone channel. Top the announcement. The Warzone channel issued an announcement, 10 million crystal mines, but if you are willing to spend 100 million, you can put it on top for a short time. Meng Jun hurriedly asked G-Brain to display the announcement at the top of the Warzone channel. The strongest life and death battle ever before the chaotic battlefield Jin San, Meng Ze, the strongest player in the 320 new district, versus the full record of the life and death battle of the third-level mysterious level Zerg. There is also a link to the battlefield video behind the top announcement. The announcement should have been hanging for a while, and by this time the theater channel below was completely boiling. iWipe, who specially sent the video of the world battlefield here, right? Ha ha. Don't pretend to be blind upstairs. The Terran is only second level and anyone can see it. 5. Are all the newcomers so good now? What hope do I have waiting for Lao Lu? You can go upstairs to die. The identification is complete. You give Lao Tzu a single head. I can't beat Meng Ze. I can't beat you. The Zerg's combat power is explosive. You cannot meet the right person. Doesn't anyone think Meng Ze's tactical level is very good? I'm on the same series. Doesn't anyone think Meng Ze's life and death battle is abnormal? How can it be so difficult? Ask for an explanation. The World platform explains. Say that people evaluate it super highly. Don't count on you as a garbage. Meng Jun, how's it going? A fierce man asked. I've seen the video earlier, and I asked Meng Ze directly for it, which is more complete than the one on the Warzone channel, and to be honest, it's really fierce. I'm going to hang out with Meng Ze, but I don't know if he can take a fancy to me. What are your plans? A fierce man asked. Of course, I'm also messing with Meng Ze. In a situation like ours, what are the chances that it would be better to go somewhere else? Hope is too slim, Meng Jun said. The problem is, it's not easy to mess around with the big guys. A fierce man is very entangled. He doesn't seem to be able to provide anything to the big guy, directly paste it, and others may not be able to look at him. By the way, why did you ask the big guy for the video? To say that battlefield video is such a thing, many times people who are not particularly good will not give it. Because battlefield footage will reveal a lot of personal secrets. Meng Jun was actually able to get the battlefield video from Meng Ze, and he was surprised after a fierce man reacted. Before the war, I provided the big guy with information about the Zerg. Meng Jun is very proud of his foresight. iWipe, so it is, The big guy is even willing to give you the battlefield video. It seems that your thighs are hugged. A bite of a fierce man is extremely envious. He is so bitter, haha, and he has no luck, and it is difficult to become a big guy by himself. The biggest goal is just to mix into the little brother of the big guy. A future bigwig player like Meng Ze who is in the abyss is the best target, but unfortunately he did not find a good opportunity. But, thinking of the wine sword immortal and the planet 30,000 Li, a fierce man felt that he should be fine. Do you know that the wine sword immortal and the planet 30,000 Li have applied for relocation? A mouthful of a mammoth 673 said. What? Did they have brain pumps? Meng Ze was surprised. Meng Ze just arrived at the chaotic battlefield, and before even the life and death battle and the promotion battle were fought, these two applied for relocation. What is going on? No, I asked about the planet 30,000 Li because they received news that the big bastards in Xiqing district found some people to clean up Meng Ze, afraid of being harmed by the pond fish, so they ran away in advance. A fierce man explained. Haha, then those people should be uncomfortable now, Meng Ze said with a schadenfreude smile. The big bastards in Xiqing district are really uncomfortable now. Damn, it's hard to ride a tiger. Because the third-level player is considered a transitional state, the interstellar world has a certain protection for third-level players. In the non-special mission state, Level 4 players can't directly work on Level 3 players, so he directly found 10 excellent players in Level 3 and prepared to kill Meng Ze. The time was almost chosen, just after Meng Ze's promotion match. The first life and death battle is in everyone's mind. It is to mix points. As long as it is not too bad, you can pass the level. So this time period was never considered before. But now, it doesn't matter if you think about it or not. With the strength that Meng Ze is showing now, will he travel thousands of miles to give away people's heads? At this time, the big bastard in Xiqing district thought of his stupid brother again, and he really wanted to screw it out and beat him half to death. Mesh G. It's the same as the big bastards in Xiqing district, knowing that no one wants to do what can't be done. In the next few hours, the big bastards in Xiqing district received the withdrawal information of those players who had been agreed before. The big bastards in Xiqing district did not force to stay, this kind of thing. Forced retention is to make a vengeance. Even now, the big bastards in Xiqing district want to find Meng Ze and settle the settlement, but unfortunately the words before were too ruthless, and things were done too well, and they couldn't find the opportunity to step down. Meng Ze, on his part, didn't know that he had inadvertently lost a small trouble. After processing the message from the command center, Meng Ze began to apply for the settlement task. Respected Commander, you have successfully destroyed the third-level mysterious Zerg clan that you committed against you, and completed this life and death battle test with excellent results. According to your rating, this mission is rated as SSS level, and you will be rewarded with a 10% increase in the resource mine limit and recovery ability and 10,000 points. So Meng Ze watched his already perverted double super bonanza limit and recovery ability rise again. It's a pity that this reward is of no use to me, and I can't see and eat. Fortunately, there is another 10,000 consolation prize. Then the command center continued to prompt, because you have earned points, officially open the points ranking system and point exchange function. Please check in the world market. For this point system, Meng Ze is very curious. The dog head bun once said that in the chaotic battlefield, points are very important. But whereas important, Meng Ze is not very clear. Just look at the point system at this time. Let the wisdom brain turn on the integration system. There are only two simple big items inside. The first is the points task. The second item is the redemption of points. Meng Ze opens the points mission, which is divided into 4 options: solo mission, group mission, large campaign, and world battlefield. Open the first 2 sub-items, and there are many tasks to choose from. It is estimated that the difficulty of the task is different, and the points awarded are high and low. However, compared to solo missions, group missions have a minimum number of people. As for the latter two tasks, there is no point description, but need to be determined by campaign evaluation. Especially in the missions of the world battlefield, in addition to being able to earn points, there is also a certain opportunity to obtain merit. As for what merit can do, there is no explanation. Meng Ze satisfied his curiosity a little and exited the points task option. Turn on the points redemption function to start viewing the details. The first child that can be redeemed is the lifetime extension card, which is the points that the dog head bun says is handed over every month. Survival extension card. When the command center reaches level 3, it will attract the attention of the Zerg. In order to prevent the commander from growing up smoothly, the Zerg will send troops to snipe the commander. In order to protect the commander's smooth growth, this card is specially developed. The card has 1,000 points. Each can obscure the command center information for a month. The card is prohibited from trading. Please buy it according to the commander's needs. The second item is to exchange the area or volume of the void floating island and planet, which corresponds to increasing the diameter of the top plane of the void floating island by 1 kilometer or increasing the diameter of the planet by 1 kilometer without 10,000 points. The third item is for players of level 5 or above, redeeming planet satellites and increasing planets/satellite diameters. The points required for this redemption are calculated based on the player's situation, so they are not shown here. The back slip is to exchange various materials, weapons, whole or partial drawings of the battleship, new buildings, etc. Meng Ze looked down and was almost drooling. For example, what Starfire-class destroyer drawings, Starfire-class cruiser drawings, Starfire-class battleship drawings, Warfire-class siege fortresses, Warfire-class sky mecha, Warfire-class land armor drawings, Starfield-class destroyer drawings, Starfield-class cruiser drawings, Starfield-class battleship drawings, Xingyue-class mothership drawings, Yamato-class destroyer drawings, Yamato-class cruiser drawings, Yamato-class battleship drawings, Skyline-class ultra-long-range defense. Fortresses, Skyline-class air defense turret drawings. Wait a minute. But as soon as he looked at the exchange price, Meng Ze immediately withdrew his eyes. The most important thing at the moment is to be down to earth, so lofty is far wrong. The first time to apply for the command center upgrade, Meng Ze looked at the gradually advancing progress bar, and his heart was hot. This command center upgrade, different from the level 1 upgrade and the second level, at that time the internal settings of the command center basically did not change much, and the upgrade progress bar was just a process to prompt unlocking. But when the second level was promoted to the third level, except for the commander's chair where Meng Ze was sitting, there were not many changes, and very complex changes were being made throughout the command center. Meng Ze didn't understand what these changes meant, and could only watch this sci-fi scene with the eyes of a lively and strange look. In fact, this change in the command center represents a comprehensive upgrade of a series of capabilities such as communication, command, detection, encryption, intelligence, and interaction. Most of the functions exist in the original command center, but they are shielded when the commander is low. Some of the features are newly loaded, and most of them are related to intelligence. But Meng Ze doesn't need to understand, he just needs to know how to use it. After the upgrade of the command center was completed, the interior became similar to the dog-headed bun command center. Meng Ze stood up and touched the east and west, something new. However, there is no problem of use at all, and the wisdom brain will mobilize the corresponding tools according to the commander's ideas. Standing in front of the new operation console, the current operation console is no longer called the operation console, but is called the reality simulation console, or, even more so, the War Command Reality Simulation Console. At this time, the void floats on the void is Meng Ze's void floating island. The ground around the console can be moved up and down, and even separate platforms and seats can be floated if the commander needs it. The console itself can also settle and even change shape, depending on the commander's preference. It's just too human. Those so-called ergonomics on the blue star are not. Compared to this, they are completely rubbish. Meng Ze jumped fiercely on the floating chair. obviously a suspended chair, but he couldn't even feel the slightest shaking. Since Meng Ze has been lifted from the physiological restrictions in the interstellar world except for sleep, the new control center has even equipped him with a private kitchen, beverage machine, leisure room, etc. However, these things are designed according to the specifications of the players of the Imperial Federation, especially the diet, fully prepared food. Perhaps the taste of these foods is not necessarily bad, after all. The intelligent brain can be completely adjusted according to the taste of the commander. But Meng Ze looked at the different shapes of paste on the list of options, and he was very suspicious of the Imperial Federation's aesthetic for food and could not hook his appetite at all. The drinks are very good. Meng Ze tried several times, although the taste is different, but all of them have a great taste. Compared to the food, it is simply one hell and the other is heaven. Meng Ze was still about to experience other functions of the command center when suddenly, the message from the system made Meng Ze's heart shake. An unknown space-time node. Strange Life suddenly noticed a slight disturbance. Look into the void, where there is an inexplicable, mysterious, invisible, seemingly non-existent silk thread connecting Strange Life and Meng Ze. At this time, at a certain point in the silk thread, there is a slight undulation. There is a slight fluctuation on the completely shapeless body of Strange Life, and if someone can feel him, there will be a pleasant feeling welling up from the bottom of the heart. A piece of information flows into the void and disappears in an instant. At this time, Meng Ze's mind showed the system's prompt. 10 minutes later, the real world, astronomical observation, BSY *** Starfield. Seeing this message, Meng Ze was shocked and inexplicable. This is the first time that the system has a prompt that has nothing to do with him, and it is still in the real world, and he does not know whether this emergency is good or bad. System, 10 minutes, not even enough time to buy astronomical instruments. Coming out of the interstellar world, Meng Ze suddenly thought of this question. He has nothing at hand. What to do astronomical observation? By the human eye? Call me Acre. How long has it been since the name was brought up again, and the mood of Strange Life has some ups and downs? Seidel Class T5537 Type Number 79. The 8th level civilization defected to the Intelligent Life aka 673, which is the original identity of the Strange Life. But the moment he defected, the original civilization subject touched all the information about his existence in the universe. No one will remember him. No, he never appeared. If it weren't for the fact that he took it with him when he defected, it would have been at the cost of the eternal silence of all intelligent beings in the original civilization. And the slightest chance of being promoted to the 9th level of civilization would have been obtained. He is long gone. The appearance of Meng Ze allowed AKA to find the other end of the chance, so there was a binding between the two sides. AKA is Meng Ze's chance, and Meng Ze also becomes Akko's chance. Although he knew early on that the system was not a system, when the other party took the initiative to report his name, Meng Ze's heart couldn't help but beat violently. Is this going to be a showdown with me? Meng Ze thought to himself. No, just to say hello, I will still be the system in your mind in the future. Acre's message popped into Meng Ze's mind. This message is bizarre, and Meng Ze can interpret it as a system prompt, a voice, or even a picture if he wants to, but the meaning will not make any difference. Can you know what's going on in my head? Meng Ze's heart tightened. Everyone has privacy. This AKA made him very uncomfortable. As long as it generates information, I will know, unless you have a very clever means of concealment, but you don't expect me to be interested in the daily life of bacteria. 33 AK's voice was very indifferent. Meng Ze could sense sincerity in it, as if AKA was explaining to him to untie his knots. There's nothing wrong with your feelings. 99. Meng Ze is speechless. You don't say that no one will treat you as dumb. Are you going to tell me or not? 99. But in just a few words, Meng Ze's heart, AKA, has changed from an ethereal high-end cold and magical intelligent life to a somewhat funny intelligent life. I feel like you're insulting me. AKA made a statement. I don't mind though. Meng Ze is like patting myself on the head. Why can't I control my thoughts? With your low-level physical control ability of the blue star people, this kind of thing is impossible for tens of thousands of years. 35. AKA, can you not speak? To get down to business, what did you do when you asked me to come out? Meng Ze quickly interrupted the topic mentally. Astronomical observations. Akadeo. Without an astronomical telescope, how can I observe? Meng Ze said speechlessly. After wasting so much time, it was impossible to buy astronomical instruments. Do you want to observe the scene from hundreds of thousands of years ago, or wait for hundreds of thousands of years to see it later? As soon as Meng Ze thought about it, he understood what AKA meant. The speed of light is too slow for cosmic scale. I was about to ask what to do, when suddenly a strange object appeared out of thin air. No, maybe it's more accurate to say it was generated out of thin air. Meng Ze stared at the scene intently, shocked inexplicably, and kept asking AKA in his mind, how did this happen? I can't do it alone, but AFDF can borrow the power of the world. AKA said. Which world? Blue star. Interstellar world. 8th level civilization technology. Dimensional energy void creation. Could it all be true? 35. A thought suddenly exploded in Meng Ze's heart, causing a momentary dizziness in his mind. Things from the interstellar world can really appear in this world? Meng Ze couldn't help but ask eagerly. Brainworm brain extract. AKA gave the best answer. Meng Ze was stunned for a moment, then came back to his senses and widened his eyes. That isn't it. Work hard. Let more people in the interstellar world be more impressed with you. 33 AKA knew what Meng Ze wanted to ask and gave him a completely confused answer. Impressive? Fame? What good can fame do? Meng Ze didn't understand it at all. Information is permission. AKA doesn't care if Meng Ze understands or not. Two people, or one person and one life, while talking, AKA completed the construction of this strange instrument. The time is just right. Look, it has been adjusted for you. Meng Ze stepped forward, the height of the instrument just in line with his eyes. Pressing his eyes to it, Meng Ze felt a subtle suction force that made him fit tighter. With the illusory picture, Meng Ze's eyes could not adapt to this change at all, making him can't help but close his eyes. But amazingly, when he closed his eyes, the image appeared directly in his mind. In the vast sea of stars, countless warships as small as dust lined up in the void. Meng Ze's subjective consciousness tells him such information, but the instrument projects something that is clearly a picture, but it can forcibly reverse his thinking. Let him know that each of those warships is huge. Indeed, upon reconfirmation, comparing the surrounding stars, Meng Ze knew that his subjective consciousness was wrong and that it was entirely a matter of choosing a reference. On the opposite side of the huge battleship group are a vast number of unknown creatures. Unknown creatures? Meng Ze was suddenly stunned. How could this scene be so familiar? Suddenly, he found a huge rugby ball in an unknown biota. I'm special, isn't this the Yunda mother nest? Of course, although Meng Ze thinks so, he also knows that this thing is definitely many times more advanced than the Yunda mother nest. It's just the same appearance, but the details are far from the same. Especially its size, compared to the planet in the void. Countless invisible attacks were fired from the lineup of both sides, and with Meng Ze's field of vision, he could only see the tiny battleships or creatures constantly shattering, and the details of the attacks could not be seen clearly. This thing made by AKA can't do it. Meng Ze couldn't help but think to himself. Makeshift things, it's almost enough. How good do you want? Forget it's a voyeur. You insult me again, I'm not a voyeur. AKA, can you not speak, please? Meng Ze feels that the previous system, AKA, is more intimate. Eventually, after a long exchange of Zhang and Luan, Meng Ze and AKA decided it was better to go back to the system. Humans are inferior creatures that are troublesome, always emitting countless garbage messages. 99. Meng Ze thought it was his language art, which made AKA understand that it was better to make a system. But in fact, Meng Ze doesn't know that the reason why AKA likes to interject so much is not because he really likes so much nonsense, but because he is hurrying to reshape his existence. The 8th level civilization's ability to control information is beyond imagination, and this kind of information is not only the language and writing we usually come into contact with, but also the existence in the universe. And there are not many opportunities for AKA to appear openly. Without the protection of that chance, AKA interacts too much with the outside world, and there is a high probability that he will be discovered by the original civilization and then erased. This time, taking advantage of the fluctuation of chance, he came out fiercely to brush a wave of presence, further solidifying his foothold in this world and strengthening his connection with Meng Ze. The peace negotiation with AKA was completed, and Meng Ze, the war in the Star Sea, also missed a key scene. Judging by the results, the battleship side is at a disadvantage and is gradually retreating. I wonder if it's a battleship of the Imperial Federation? Meng Ze thought to himself, thinking that this possibility was very likely. ##::##. First of all, the opponent is most likely a higher-level Zerg, and secondly, this observation was specially requested by AKA. It stands to reason that AKA will not inexplicably let him come out to observe this battle, and it is more likely to be related to his future. Meng Ze continued to observe the battlefield, seeing that the fleet was getting farther and farther away, and the unknown creatures seemed to have no intention of pursuing, and began to turn around and fly towards the planet. Just when Meng Ze thought that this battle was so hasty, a very thin light flashed in his eyes. Meng Ze didn't care yet, so a thin line of attack counted nothing. Then he suddenly reacted. I actually saw that attack. You must know that in Meng Ze's field of vision, the planet is also the size of Sesame. Although the beam just now is thin, in comparison, it is at least hundreds of kilometers thick. So what is it attacking? Meng Ze was about to look around when he suddenly saw a point of light in the picture, a sharp one, a sharp shrink, and then an instant explosion. I'm special. This is the stellar. With just one blow, the star was directly blasted. Meng Ze was stunned all of a sudden, and his vest was instantly drenched in cold sweat, which was terrifying. The shock wave of the star burst directly tore the surrounding planets into powder, and those unknown creatures who were preparing to harvest the loot were also affected, with countless deaths and injuries. Finally relieved, Meng Ze was about to continue watching. Suddenly, the picture went black, and the unknown instrument instantly disintegrated and then quickly dissipated. Calling for Acre, there was no response. I don't know if I was angry or really thought of myself as a system. Meng Ze had no choice but to regretfully miss this opportunity. Just about to enter the interstellar world, Meng Ze suddenly remembered what AKA had said. He is not good at this kind of thing. Who should I ask about this kind of thing? Meng Ze flashed through his mind one name after another, and he always felt almost meaningful. Suddenly a flash of light. Why do I have to ask acquaintances? To say that the brain hole is the biggest, it should be netizens. Meng Ze turned on his phone, typed the question into Chihiro, click search, and there was no same problem. So Mencius himself created a topic, how to make a quick name for himself in the game. A few minutes later, the first netizen answered, but the answer almost didn't make Meng Ze vomit 3 liters of blood. When you see someone in the game, you call your father, and you will become famous in an hour. That's not what I want to fame. Meng Ze is crazy. Immediately, a little unconfidently, he asked AKA in his heart, it shouldn't be this kind of name, right? Stick. Meng Ze returned to the topic, and in just a few seconds, there were 2 more answers. You can keep brushing, I'm a fool, until you make a name. If you want to make a name, you can find me. Intimate Studio, the customer is God, contact 139XXXXXX. These 2 answers hurt Meng Ze's brain. Hurriedly went to set the answer conditions, and also gave a bounty. After a long time, Meng Ze finally saw a relatively reliable answer. Landlord, playing games wants to become famous quickly as you said. I think there are 2 feasible ways. either high technology, high enough that everyone understands the gap at a glance at this time, as long as someone helps you publicize. It is easy to become famous, or you are particularly rich, use a lot of money, smash out fame, how everyone loves. Meng Ze feels that there is some truth, but it can only be used as a reference, and how to operate it is not reliable or not, and it is still not accurate. Re-enter the interstellar world. Meng Ze asked G-Brain, Smart Brain, can you set the range of space interferometer? Ask for flowers. Yes, Commander. Meng Ze looked at the way it was used. It was very simple. In fact, it was to adjust the power of the space interferometer, ranging from 0 to 10,000 kilometers. Previously, Meng Ze's space interferometer defaulted to an interference range of 3,000 kilometers, and apart from the radius of 1,000 kilometers of the island, the actual radiation area was only 2,000 kilometers. Commander, do you need to adjust the range of the space interferometer? Let's lock the island first, and ignore the rest for the time being. Meng Ze has not yet figured out how to use this space interferometer to achieve better results. Even now, Meng Ze still doesn't know what permissions information is. However, he believed that AKA would not pit him in such a thing. As if sensing what Meng Ze was thinking, Arcana's strange form fluctuated slightly, and a partially mutilated spar appeared in front of him. The spar flashed and flashed, echoing the interstellar world located in the Imperial Federation. With each flash, countless changes appear in the interstellar world. Perhaps it can also be said the other way around. The countless changes in the interstellar world made the spar flash once. Sumi, the spar dissipated, and the unknown space-time node returned to calm again. Meng Ze sighed. No matter what you do, your own strength is the last word. Just by adjusting the range of the space interferometer, Meng Ze set out to refine his 3-level infrastructure. Drawings and technologies were loaded into the command center. Meng Ze's technology library swelled rapidly. The first to be updated are the various buildings. Meng Ze is now very rich and no longer has to pick the rope to upgrade. First, increase the number of engineering troops to 200,000. The engineering troops of the 3rd-level command center to build the foundation are so fast that they can fly. In less than an hour, all the engineers were finished manufacturing. Immediately afterwards, the upgrading of forges, airfields, and biochemical arsenals began. There are 100 forging plants, which will be renovated and upgraded at the same time, and after the upgrade is completed, all will be changed into 3-level reinstallation plants. The airport has 100 seats, which will be renovated and upgraded at the same time, and after the upgrade is completed, all will be converted into aircraft manufacturing centers. 30 biochemical arsenals, synchronously renovated and upgraded. After the upgrade is completed, the name will not change. This was followed by missile launch pads and bastions. After the missile launch pad was upgraded, the name was changed to an anti-aircraft turret. Meng Ze didn't figure it out before, but it seems to be low-end after the upgrade. After careful understanding, I found that the so-called turret was actually dual-purpose for artillery shells and missiles. The gun was a rapid-fire electromagnetic gun, dual use in the open space, replacing the function of part of the fortress. The missiles were all replaced with tactical anti-aircraft nuclear missiles, and the high-explosive ammunition of the past was really incapable of an increasingly high-level enemy. After the fort was upgraded, it was renamed the Early Warning Defense Center. The basic functionality has not changed, but there is an additional ability to detect foreign sources. This new feature Meng Ze doesn't know what to do for the time being, but seeing such a troublesome change in this building promoted to the 3rd level should not be a trivial matter. Other supply stations, engineering research institutes, reinstallation research institutes, and science stations can be upgraded step by step. Meng Ze also focused on the addition of several new buildings. 673. The space shipyard is a top priority of the future, even more important than several other arsenals. The main force of future interstellar wars should all need to rely on it to manufacture. The electromagnetic railgun is a super-large anti-air weapon building, which can adjust the direction of the muzzle, but cannot move as a whole. The entire electromagnetic railgun occupies a radius of 1 square kilometer, and the muzzle part is even more than a kilometer long, and the shells alone are larger than a tank. Meng Ze looked at the properties of the electromagnetic railgun. Needless to say, more than 100,000 buildings and powerful shields equal to hundreds of thousands of building strength. The building itself also has more than 50 points of armor, but it is almost negligible relative to its building strength, building health. The electromagnetic railgun is huge, and the attack power of a shell can reach hundreds of thousands, but the disadvantage is that the energy demand is too high, the rate of fire is slow, and it takes a few minutes or even 10 minutes to fire a round. But for Meng Ze, the rate of fire is not enough, the number is combined, and it is a big deal to build hundreds or thousands of statues when the time comes. For this super large, super powerful giant cannon, Meng Ze felt that the Yunda mother nest, which could not be solved by hundreds of thousands of shells with tanks, estimated that such a big guy was needed to solve it. After that is the floating battery, which at this stage is actually an associated building of the anti-aircraft turret, which is dispatched and commanded by the anti-aircraft turret. It is equivalent to the extension and leakage of the anti-aircraft turret, but the floating battery is not very powerful, and it belongs to the type of building that needs to rely on quantity to improve attack capabilities. Floating battery, mobile attack platform, vitality, 2000, attack power 100 plus 21, defense power 5 plus 21, shield strength 10,000, speed 100 plus 40, manufacturing requirements. 10,000 crystal or description, floating mobile attack equipment, can be attacked alone or in association with an air defense turret. Finally, the Space Disturbance Observation Radar, which is one of the most important reconnaissance methods of the interstellar age. Space Disturbance Observation Radar, as the name implies, is to observe the building, equipment, of space disturbance. Whether it is curvature navigation or space jumping, it will cause disturbances to interstellar space, and by detecting this space disturbance, it is possible to warn of enemy attacks in advance. Different from space jammers, space disturbance observation radars have no shielding ability, only detection capabilities. However, the advantage of the Space Disturbance Observation Radar is that its volume is much smaller than that of the space jammer, and the energy consumption is much smaller, but its detection range is not small at all. And in the case of strengthening the power, in the interstellar world, it can completely cover tens of thousands of kilometers. Not only that, it can also be built as a fixed building on floating islands or planets, and can also be installed as auxiliary equipment on spaceships. After taking stock of these buildings, Meng Ze was a little entangled. Now that Meng Ze has a lot of buildings, 200,000 engineers looks like a lot, but that's actually the way to schedule its upgrades. Each building is dozens or hundreds, and more may be needed in a hurry. In this way, the arms and buildings will almost divide the engineering troops. Moreover, the usefulness of the engineering troops is very single, the construction and repair, there are many of them, and after using this wave, they are idle. Therefore, Meng Ze did not continue to increase the number of engineering troops and could only upgrade them in batches. Thinking of this, Meng Ze is a little lucky. Fortunately, the command center was merged and reduced in size when it was promoted. Otherwise, if you think about tens of thousands of command centers, it would be one head and three bigger. The promotion battle needs to be applied for within 3 days after the completion of the command center upgrade, and Meng Ze has enough time. Leaning back and lying in the commander's seat, the commander's seat automatically adjusts to the most comfortable mode for the Meng Ze. As soon as the thought moved, Ji-Brain brought him the most suitable drink. When drinking, even the drink cup is carried by a mechanical hand. It's so comfortable for this kind of life that Meng Ze is a little overjoyed. Meng family. The butler quickly walked into the hall and said to the young man inside, "Young Master Qi, there is news of young Master Meng Ze." Meng Qi didn't raise his head and said, "Let's talk about it. Where did he fool around?" Young Master Qi, young Master Meng Ze did not mess around this time. He entered the interstellar world. Fei Peng hesitated and replied, When he got the news report, he almost thought that the people below had fooled him. What Meng Ze has been like for so many years, as the great butler of the Meng family, how can he not know? Even helping Meng Ze with the tail of his hands is not one or two things. But after his repeated verification, and coupled with the fact that Meng Ze's recent work is too sensational, it is not difficult to verify. And finally came to the conclusion that the first person in the interstellar world is now his own young master Meng Ze. Although Meng Ze's appearance has changed slightly, it has been confirmed to be the result of adjustments using enhanced gene reagents. Huh? How could he be in the interstellar world? Hearing the butler's words, Meng Ze finally shifted his gaze to the butler. This is the result of multiple confirmations, and I have personally verified it and confirmed that it is correct. Well, that's okay, Uncle Fei. Have you contacted him? Mechi wrote. Not yet. I informed young Master Chi of this news as soon as possible, and I also wanted to ask young Master Chi to have an idea. 35. Fei Peng wrote. Hearing Fei Peng say this, Meng Ze was a little puzzled. Is there anything else that can't be done here? Young Master Chi, now young Master Meng Ze, is developing very well in the interstellar world, and I suspect that the previous investigation of him by the Special Affairs Bureau was for this reason, so I am not sure whether to bother him now. Fei Peng said his judgment. Meng Ze was shocked in his heart. What is the development of Meng Ze, which will actually attract the investigation of the Special Affairs Bureau? Young Master Chi, young Master Meng Ze, he advanced to the Chaos Battlefield as the strongest in the new district, and then fought a life and death battle that can be called the strongest ever in the Chaos Battlefield. And now the entire 117 war zone is talking about this matter. Hasn't the 3.5-inch Meng Ze disappeared for just over 2 months? Am I mistaken? Young Master Chi, you can't be mistaken. We have checked. Young Master Meng Ze is the interstellar world that has advanced for more than 2 months, and then used this time to advance to the chaotic battlefield as the strongest identity in the new district. It is said that when he was in the new district, he won a great victory against the 3rd-level relic Zerg, and has a very high commander talent. 35. Fei Peng explained. Are you talking about that waste brother? Meng Ze was in disbelief, and then a strong sense of unwillingness, pain, and embarrassment welled up from the bottom of his heart. The person that his family focuses on cultivating is actually not comparable to a free-range waste, which makes Meng Ze feel self-contained, and also makes his mind full of disgust and jealousy for Meng Ze for a while. Call him back to me immediately. 35. Meng Ze gritted his teeth. This. Yes, young Master Chi. Looking at Meng Ze's flushed face and deep cold eyes, Fei Peng swallowed what he wanted to say. Command Center. Dreamstar Night Glow, in a standard standing posture with a solemn expression, is being consulted by the high-level military of the Imperial Federation. Second Colonel Huang Du, the headquarters is still very satisfied with your work in the interstellar world. In the past few years, the Imperial Federation has been able to add more than 10 excellent 6th-level commanders in a row, and your merits are obvious to all. A middle-aged man with 2 sunflower pendants on each shoulder first affirmed the achievements of Dream Starry Night Glow. The middle-aged man is the Empire's 2-star General Haishan, and he is also the main person in charge of the training of the Empire's reserve commanders. In addition to Haishan, there were 3 other middle-aged men in this video conference room. One is Yumin Xian, a 3-star lieutenant general in charge of frontline military intelligence. One is 3-star Lieutenant General Arayer, who is in charge of logistics supplies, and the other is 1-star General Liu Chang, who is responsible for the distribution and placement of new commanders. These people represent frontline needs, material and personnel support, and commanders. Dreamstar Night Glow knows what that means. This means that the frontline war with the Zerg is tight, and there is more need for commanders. Over the past few hundred years, the front line between the Zerg and the Imperial Federation has become longer and longer, and the scope of the original 05 war between the two sides is only within a river system. But now it has rapidly expanded to 10 river systems, tens of millions of light years. Although the commanders of the Imperial Federation are excellent, the energy of each commander is limited. As the battle line lengthened, the Empire had to recruit more commanders into the battlefield. Of course, in addition to commander conscription, there is actually another model. The reason why the Imperial Federation has been able to fight against the Zerg for so many years is naturally strong enough, and the other is because there is a killer weapon based on the interstellar world teleportation. This is to take advantage of the ubiquity of dimensional energy, combined with the dimensional energy void creation technology possessed by the interstellar world, coupled with the dimensional beacon guidance of the Imperial Federation. A large number of legions appear in designated positions to carry out strikes behind enemy lines. This move is simply impossible to prevent, even if it is discovered, because the manifestation process is extremely fast. There is no time to stop it, and every time the Zerg can only spend a lot of energy to encircle and suppress it. Moreover, another very important reason why this method is effective is that in order to save resources, most of the Zerg rearguard territory is level 5 or even 4 Zerg. This means, in fact, has a name in the interstellar world missions. Commanders only need to be in the interstellar world to participate in the encirclement of the Zerg, and most people don't even know the real situation. Sure enough, after the 2-star Admiral of Haitian praised the Dream Star Night Glow, he immediately mentioned the matter of personnel scheduling. Second Colonel Huang Du, this time the military needs to dispatch 2 6th-level commanders to support the front line, and also needs a world teleportation mission. I don't know if you have any problems here. 55. Generally speaking, as long as the superior opens his mouth, things basically cannot be refused. But Dream Star Yahweh did feel tricky this time. It had only been more than a year since the last time he had transferred personnel, and the cultivation of a 6th-level commander was not so easy. Moreover, there is now a big hidden danger in the interstellar world. Report Admiral Haitian, now in the list in my hand in the interstellar world. There are only 5 6th-level commanders. The relic Zerg in the 89 war zone has been growing. And now it is necessary to ensure that at least 4 6th-level commanders can suppress it. If 2 6th-level commanders are transferred, I am afraid that the relic Zerg will have the risk of spreading. There is another problem that Dream Star Night Glow does not mention. That is, every time you use world teleportation, the interstellar world relic Zerg seem to be 1 point stronger. This is the feeling of a dreamy starry night glow. There is no quantitative data, and no empirical evidence can be found. So he did not mention it on this occasion. The problem of the relic Zerg has existed for a long time, and several military leaders naturally know the situation. Everyone doesn't know why this perverted relic Zerg was born in the new district. However, the damage caused by the formation of the relics of the 89 war zone is obvious to all, and even affects the stability of the interstellar world. And this time, the 117 theater actually appeared again. Fortunately, it was destroyed in time, which also made Meng Ze's name enter the eyes of these high-level officials. Now when Dream Star Night we mentions the ruins Zerg, everyone has a headache. Lieutenant General Yu Min-hsien, who was in charge of the frontline military situation, spoke. Colonel Huang Du, the reason why 2 6th-level commanders were dispatched this time is already the result of strict control, no matter how few. There will be loopholes in our defense line. I wonder if we can rely on 5th-level commanders to fill the lack of fighting the relic Zerg? Hearing Lieutenant General Yu Min-hsien's words, Dream Star Night we revealed a bitter smile. Report Lieutenant General Yu, the whole of a 6th-level commander. Dozens of 5th-level commanders can't fill it. And it also requires these people to be completely coordinated, which is almost impossible. Dream Star Night Glow's words were not exaggerated, and the 4 high-ranking officials were lost in thought. In the end, it was General Haitian who spoke. Since Colonel Huang Du has explained the situation, I believe that none of us is more accurate than his judgment, so this time only 1 6th-level commander will be transferred. 35. But Admiral, Yu Min-hsien wanted to say something. Admiral Haitian Ershing waved his hand. The problem that Lieutenant General Yu said does exist. So I suggest that the scale of this world teleportation be increased and more energy of the Zerg clan be drawn from the rear to fill the vacancy of the 6th-level commander. When everyone heard this, They all felt that this plan was feasible. 677. Seconded. 35. Seconded. 35. The four high-level officials were in unison, and Dream Star Night, we breathed a sigh of relief. Perhaps the world teleportation will make the relic Zerg grow again, but this kind of unwarranted thing is not so urgent compared to the disadvantage of drawing a 6th-level commander. Using the StarCraft simulation world for world teleportation is not so easy, and a lot of preliminary preparations must be made. First, as the cloud platform center of the Imperial Federation to control the interstellar world, it is necessary to adjust the various permissions of the interstellar world, so that they can work together at the right time and form a technical resonance with the dimensional beacons in the outside world. After determining the teleportation location, it is also necessary to forcibly break through the rules of the interstellar world and activate the function of dimensional energy void creation along the channel. Unlike Acre's heavy lifting, the Imperial Federation is very troublesome to do this kind of thing, and there can be no mistakes. In addition, the cloud platform also needs to release world announcements in advance, usually months in advance, so that players can replenish the troops participating in the war. These were originally just forces manifested in the interstellar world, and when the interstellar world was projected to the outside, they were the skeleton of the void creation. It's like drawing a line and filling it with color. This is many times more difficult than the weight of manufacturing from head to end.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.